Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that has a beast inside him that can only be squashed by talking about the final fight in 2006's Rocky Balboa. It's Christopher J. Kelly.
Well, now that you had to put it on the line. Well, I guess we have to.
I don't know why I put the J in there. I know there's a restaurant called J. Christopher's.
J. Christopher or Christopher J's?
Yeah, J. Christopher's. So I should have said J. Christopher Kelly.
I think I got this confused with R. Thomas. So is it J. Christopher's?
So we've done 5 Rocky movies already. We've covered the final fights in 5 Rocky movies. Now we're on the Rocky Balboa, 2006. I gotta tell you, watching this movie again, this is gonna sound weird, but I became a dad last year, and I have a daughter, Mallory. Awesome kid, but I'm so much more emotional since I had a daughter. So whenever I watch American Ninja Warrior, I feel like I'm gonna cry like 5 times an episode. I was watching this, and at the end, when Rocky Balboa leaves the ring before the split decision is called, and he's just happy and hugging his family and hugging his trainers, I had tears going down my eyes. Tears. I've always been like an emo dude, but I never cried. Not because I was a lack of emotion or I'm not tough. I guess just the waterworks didn't flow. But I don't know what it is in the last year. But I gotta tell you, Chris Kelly, this finale of this final fight just made me cry, and it is unbelievable.
It's a lot of emotion, and I think what it is that Rocky is retired. He's supposed to be 59 at this point.
Insane.
In real life, he was 60.
Yeah.
But he's being challenged by a younger boxer just to see if he can still do it. And I mean, the beautiful training montage with his trainer, and he's saying, you got calcium deposits, your knees are gone. So basically, we're going to have to work on some power bombs.
Blunt force trauma, horsepower.
And he uses that line that Muhammad Ali said, "I hit him so hard, his ancestors felt it." But yeah, it's just, and he can't really do it because he's so old, and it's a ludicrous idea to think that this guy, who was 38 at the time, Antonio Tarver was 38 at the time. It's kind of ridiculous to think that Sylvester Stallone could beat him, but he really wants to train just to prove it to himself, not anything else. And that's what the whole purpose of the movie is that a man who was once in his prime, who has then gone down, he's now retired, he's become more of a celebrity within the Philadelphia community. He's more of I can't remember which boxer that Sylvester Stallone said he was using as his background was like the one boxer who became a restaurateur. And then he just...
The Slammin' Salmon?
Yeah. He was actually Michael Clark Duncan. That's exactly what he was doing. He was going to make his face look like a pie, guy. Hey, meat drapes.
Give me some Marciano cherries.
My favorite line in that. Meat drapes. Who's meat drapes? Oh, it's Metropolis. Why doesn't it sound like when I say that? But he's become that retired boxer who... He's punch drunk at this point in his life, and he's become a restaurateur, and he just spends his days there, puts on a coat, and then gives everybody these stories throughout the whole movie. Mm-hmm. And then that's it. And it's like he's proving it to himself that he can still do it. And it doesn't matter if he wins, if he loses, if he really gets beat up, if he demolishes this guy. He just wants to know he can still get in the ring and he can still fight. And that's it. And that's what makes it so beautiful and emotional. It's like, I mean, whenever we're in our 60s and we're going to be like, we're going to be talking to our kids that are, in their 20s, 30s. And we're going to be like, listen, whenever I was your age, I used to do this and I really can't do it anymore, but I'm just going to do it just for the sake of doing it. And that's what makes it so beautiful, because deep down inside, we're all Rocky. And that's what made the movies in general so beautiful. We're all underdogs.
And what's great, too, is they set this up, because I don't know if you remember this, but they had simulations between Rocky Marciano, and Muhammad Ali. So then you bring in Tarver or Mason the Lion, Dixon versus Rocky, and you just have an already believable thing, because that happened between Marciano and Ali. Like, they never officially had like an exhibition match, but people talked about simulations.
Have you read what Muhammad Ali said about that?
Yeah.
So funny. So like every time they did the computer program for Muhammad Ali versus Rocky Marciano always won in the 13th or 11th match. And then Muhammad Ali said, well, that computer was made in Alabama.
But like it's based in the real world. And then during the fight in the second round, something brilliant happens. Mason the Lion Dixon breaks his hand. Now, could they have stopped the fight? I don't know. He would have lost then because he hurt it on Rocky. But so he keeps going with a broken hand. So then that sets him apart. He has one hand to fight Rocky Balboa. So you have this movie that, sure, you have a 59-year-old guy battling the heavyweight champion of the world. It's insane. But the simulation happens. And you also have a broken hand in the fight. And you also know that Rocky can get hit by a train and survive. Like, the brain density of his skull is insane. And also watching him fight, he was really trying to push Mason Line Dixon up against the ropes, hug him, hit him. What did he say? He's like, build some hurting bombs. Because his knees can't take pounding, he has arthritis. But yeah, it's going to be like kissing an express train. And it's just, it's a smart, very smart way to stage the fight. It's an exhibition match. This isn't, even they mention it too. Oh, Mason the Lion Dixon came in out of shape. And then you have Rocky showing up looking like a slab of granite in there.
Quite literally.
And it is just a wonderful way to set up the final fight. And before we get to the final fight, I just want to say my favorite aspect of this movie is when he goes to visit Adrian's grave. And he has a chair sitting up in the tree that he pulls down and sits on. That's such an authentic. And it makes the world so realistic and lived in that he just has a chair up there, and at the end he doesn't. But it's such a wonderful take, and his speeches with his son about how I love you so much, but you got lost along the way, and then his speech about I have a beast inside me, like in here, talking about that. This is a really good movie. And remember when this was coming out, I was kind of worried about it, but then I sat there and I listened to what he had to say in 2006. I was like, this is a very good movie. Excellent film. And then you get to the fight, which you and I have watched all of them. It's been a little while, but we spent time with all 5 fights, a lot of time researching them and doing that. I love how this movie goes to black and white. It kind of messes with the color. It goes a little bit more of the frantic editing, but it's, you show the first 2 rounds, all the editing, show the last round, but it just looks beautiful with the black and white. It's very like Raging Bull-esque. Yes. And then there's some Sin City-esque colors in there with the red and the yellows.
I think that was probably because of Sin City, that they were probably like, hey, they worked for them, let's do this. And it's like,
because you have the yellow, and like the red. But like the blood looks good on the black and white face. Like it looks cool. And just hearing Tarver say, you're a crazy old man. And then
you'll get there one day.
Yeah, you'll get there one day. It's just a good fight. And, the announcers go heavy in the beginning. Like they're talking about it, this guy's old, he's going to lose. This isn't going to be a great fight.
It's like a speed bag versus a punching bag.
And don't they call his punches a meat sinking missile? Like that's a crazy thing to call a punch. But it's just a wonderful fight. And it narratively, is it believable, Chris?
Not really.
But do they make it believable?
I think that I think if you think of the logistics of what's happening, there's no way in hell.
Yeah.
Mason Dixon would, I keep want to call him Tarver because it's a great name. Actually, both great names. Mason would have just mopped the floor with him without even thinking twice about it. And I mean, to bring it back, at this point, Rocky's character is punch drunk. I mean, he's dealing with brain damage for over 20 years. If you really want to look at the logistics of it, there's no way in hell. I mean, Rocky would be, he'd be pretty happy to make one punch. I mean, he probably would be in a wheelchair at this point. And if you're thinking about the logistics of everything, much like Muhammad Ali.
Think about the real world when Ali boxed Holmes and got destroyed, or you think about Chuck Liddell or Wanderlei Silva or Tito Ortiz. Some of these fighters coming back, MMA fighters coming back too late. Once you get that button hit, it's just lights out city. You can only absorb too much before your chin just goes. But I mean, this isn't Earth. This is the Rocky world. Like the punches that Rocky has been hit with in the 5 prior fights to this, his head would be in Newark somewhere. So
it would look like a pie, guy.
Whatever. But in this world though, his skull density is so thick, and his
they would
brain
be making helmets out of his skull.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, that's the new Kevlar, is the whatever was from his skull. But it's in this world with the simulation, then with the broken hand. That's all you have to give me in a movie. Because then the movie's saying, this is why the fight's happening. He broke his hand. You already know that Rocky can get hit by a literal bus. If the bus from Final Destination hit Rocky, the bus would be destroyed, not Rocky, right? So you set it up in this world. It works really well. And also, you and I have dealt with a lot of extras. We started off as extras, stand-ins, then we started working with extras. The extra work in this is excellent. Like, they're going crazy in this. This would have been awesome to watch.
So a little bit about that. They were there for a fight. I can't remember which fight it was. Bernard Hopkins and Jermaine Taylor.
Oh wow, B-Hop.
And they were piggybacking off of that because Stallone, with the budget and everything, they couldn't really afford to have that big crowd that they wanted to have, just like with the other Rocky movies. So they producers came up with the idea of going to Vegas. A little bit more to that. Sylvester Stallone wanted to have a real ring in a big arena, but almost every big arena in America was being used. So Stallone came up with the idea of just piggybacking off of another fight. And he's like, we could shoot it. You can watch it in the behind the scenes videos. He's like, we're going to have to do this really quick because these people are going to want to leave. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to want to be here for that long. So we're going to have to shoot this. Then we can go. So they shot. I didn't
rehearse the crap out of it.
Oh God. You see him rehearsing mm-hmm. on that, in the behind the scenes videos that, he's like, you're going to have to put on their makeup like within 10 to 15 seconds. And you see that. That's why it's like they rush in there real quick and then come back out, shoot another couple of quick shots, go back into makeup for a split second, jump back in, back and forth. Now shooting that, as far as like being boots on the ground there, I couldn't even imagine that. That would be, you wouldn't be able to do anything. It was just like you would just stand back and let it go. But it's good. And then according to Stallone on the behind the scenes of it, they said that the crowd there was so pumped because they were told beforehand, stay after the fight, you're going to be part of the next Rocky Balboa movie. And everybody went ape shit.
Yeah.
They were like, what? Because at this point, there hadn't been a Rocky movie in 15, 16 years at this point, because Rocky V was 1990. And everyone hated Rocky V. Let's just go out there and say it. It's not that great of a movie. It's got a great final fight.
Yeah, we had a good time. Listen to that episode.
That's a good one. But it was not liked. So it took forever and a day to even get this movie produced. Stallone wrote the draft, I believe in 1999, was whenever he originally wrote out, because he hated Rocky. So he wanted to have something to come back. And it took him nearly 5-6 years to get money for it, because everyone said, look, do you remember what happened to your last movies? And Rambo was not the success it was at that time. Rambo 3 was 7 years prior. Stallone really didn't have much of a hit. It's kind of like the same thing with Eddie Murphy. Whenever we talked about this on Bowfinger, was that it was a gamble to get him in there, because it was like he was like box office poison. And everyone always says, well, what about Coming to America and his comedy specials?
Metro.
It was
the vampire movie.
One after the other was just a massive failure. And it's like, that was kind of where Stallone was at with this. So it took him a long time to get that pitched and sold. So
wow, wait,
they had to do it on the super cheap.
It's crazy he got $24 million for this, because he was coming off of Get Carter.
Oof.
Driven, I See You, Avenging Angelo. He had a shade. Then he had a small part in Spy Kids 3 Game Over. Well, he was a villain. But then he had Rocky Balboa. So the fact that he got $24 million after that run is someone... There's a guardian angel. Like, he cashed in his prior success, because his run was really not good at the time.
He had a big string of stinkers.
Big string of stinkers. Wait, say that 10 times. Big string of stinkers.
Big string of stinkers.
Yep. Then you knock it out 10 times, and I'm like, great, now I have to keep that.
Well, here's $5. But they the whole final fight with this is... It's good, and it's not, there's no vengeful, there's no one's against each other. No one dislikes one another. And it's like, whenever they even try to do their shit talking scenes, it's not real aggression. It's more like, you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, why not? He's like, you'll figure it out one day. But it's like, it's good. And then the original ending, when, as you know from listening to the other Final Fights with the Rocky movies, there's always a different ending that they did. And there's ones that are written out, the ones that they shot. Rocky 2, I think, was the one that we talked about, which had the worst original ending I think I've ever heard of. And that probably would have killed Stallone's career had they actually gone through with it. Thank goodness they didn't. Mm-hmm. Listen to that episode if you ever want to know the original ending of Rocky 2. But the original ending was that Rocky won, which, according to the commentary on this movie, is laughable.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Maybe in 99, right? Maybe in 96 when he is 10 years, when he's 49, right? Like maybe, but not 59 years old in 2006.
No, there's no way. I mean, it's a fun thought, but it's like, you're talking about one of the top heavyweight boxers at the time. It's like, come on.
And the whole point of it's not winning or losing. It's him walking away from the ring before the decision and hugging everybody and doing that. Also, I want to say, I wish I would have brought this up earlier, but I love when they say "Welcome to Rocky Land."
Yeah, that's
but
good.
Then that explains the entire fight. Like this, we are not on Earth anymore. We are in Rocky Land. I don't know why I said it like that. Rocky Land. We are in
How many H's were in Rocky?
We are we are in a different world, and I just love that about it. And I just it's this for me. I don't think the fight is that strong. I don't think there's much drama in this fight.
There can't be.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's more like we're going to find out what happened to Rocky after Rocky 5, and then we're just going to put a fight in there for a reason for it. But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's not a real fight. So that's what I think. Like could you imagine like a almost 60-year-old Rocky? Because they made a very strong point to say that he's not 60. Almost 50-year-old Rocky. Still getting into fights with folks. It's like, bro.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's like, yes, a nice exhibition match. That makes sense. And then he becomes the next Mick. Exactly. Which is great.
Oh, man. He should have won that Oscar for... Well, I love like Mark Rylance, but yeah, man, he
really nailed it.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I mean, the whole thing. And
he should have gotten an Oscar nomination. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry. He should have gotten a nomination, I think, for the script for this movie, Rocky Balboa. His speech with his son.
That is beautiful. I used to send that speech to people whenever I would talk to folks, and they would say, oh well, I'm having a hard day. I'm leaving this set. This set is complete crap. I'm out. Da, 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 da. And I would send him this speech, and it's like, look, like he literally says it right there. Like the world's gonna beat you down no matter what, and nobody cares about it. Like I'm not gonna do line for line what Rocky says, but he basically says, look, no one cares about you. You're going to get demolished no matter what happens in your life. It's not about how hard you're going to get knocked down. It's about how you can keep getting hit and coming back. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely correct. It's true.
Man, I had tears, Chris Kelly.
It's a beautiful. And then I think that's one of the top watched videos on YouTube. Because it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. Like, it tells you everything that you need to know about life right there. And the whole thing about it's like, you may not believe it, but you were so small I could fit you in my hand.
Oh, he opens with that.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. And he's like, it's unbelievable.
You know what's crazy about the Rocky franchises? All the final fights are iconic. But when I go through them, I think about more of Rocky 4 with the montages. And I think about Rocky dealing with Adrian in the first one. What's interesting about the Rocky franchise, we've covered all the final fights, and they're very interesting. But there's so much more meat to this. Like, even the idea for 5 is really good.
Mm-hmm.
The execution, no, but it's a good idea.
Yes.
It's just such a interesting, because when I think about it, when I think about the final fights, I maybe think about 4 the most. But when I think about the other ones, there's the character beats in this, like his relationship with Apollo. I just watched a director's cut of Rocky 4 that was released last year. I bought it. It's beautiful. I love it so much. And then
have you seen the fan version of that? It's like 2.5 hours long. Oh. It's like everything with everything added to it.
Montage.
It's ridiculous. I'll put it that way. You're like, how could they have that much?
So many. But yeah, it's this one though. The final fight to me is not impressive. It is impressive. It's impressive with how they make you buy into it, because you have to have the guy break his hand. You have to know that Rocky is a slab of beef. Like, he had to get super jacked for this. And that speech about making him hit so hard and he's slow and just be an absolute tank, like, they really sold that. Mm-hmm. So I think everything leading up to the fight did the best job possible. And I know I keep talking about this, and I mean, they did over stylize it a little bit during the fight, but that does separate it visually from the rest of the fights. So I like that it's different visually than all the other Rocky brawls.
Because like all the other Rockies have a very like structure of how they're going to do it. Like the first one has its look, the second one has a look, third one. But then this one, it's like they changed it up a little bit so that, not to like make it updated for that day's audiences, but just to kind of separate it from the pack. Mm-hmm. Now, my personal thoughts, I don't know about this, but I'm just going to say, I think Stallone probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, he had
to. He just wanted to change it up.
And also, I mean, this was what led to sort of the Stallone-essence that followed this. Yes. Because he followed up with the Rambo movie that features a sniper blowing the head off of a guy. Like, one of the most violent movies I've ever seen.
Dude, with the 50 cal literally chopping down the entire tree. I mean, it's bonkers. That whole thing is like... And then, oh god, like I could talk about.
And then the Expendables movies that came out, which I enjoy all three. I don't care. I adore those movies.
The thing about Expendables is that if you don't know what it is, you don't like it. But if you understand these people and you understand that, yes, you're watching the most ridiculous stuff that they're doing at their age. Yes, it's so good. And that's whenever we had a bunch of those other movies that came out, where you had The Mercenaries, which is the female version of the Expendables, then Red. Retired and Extremely Dangerous. Yeah, those movies all came out because it's a ridiculous concept
and it's fun and it's a good time. And then he comes out with like Escape Plan, which does okay. He does Grudge Match with De Niro.
That was a great movie. Man, that was funny. Really good.
And then that kicked off to like the Creed films. I mean, this movie Rocky really propelled Stallone back into it, and he hasn't left since he got back. But because it's quality, this is a good movie. Okay, I have a question. Let's not talk about the final fights, but regards as like a movie with speeches and not montages, like where does this rank amongst the franchise?
In the franchise? Well, the other ones don't really have that many good speeches. Well, except for the second one, obviously. I'd say this is probably the second one. Yeah. Because I think Rocky 2 has hands down the best speech ever. Like at the whole thing explaining, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here. My wife gave birth to my son. Yo, Adrian." Yeah. Like that's amazing. And then this one, I mean, he's got great lines of dialogue, especially also talking with Marie. That they brought back the character of Marie, and we find out that she never left the neighborhood. She never really became anything. And he's trying to help out her family, and she even says, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "I don't know. Like, why not?"
Yeah.
It's like, what difference does it make? But it's a solid film. I mean, just all the like I said, like the lines of dialogue, him talking, and then with talking to the managers, explaining about the simulation, saying, "Well, we think this would happen. This would happen. Do you want to do this?" He's like, "Not really." And then it's like, "Well, why not? Why can't I? Why shouldn't I?" It's great. Oh.
It's kind of also him as a filmmaker too, to a certain extent, just coming back.
It's him coming back and more matured, understanding what's going on. He's not the young hot thing that he was in the 80s. So it really kind of shows him as himself too. And one of the things that does kind of blow is that, he never had the rights to Rocky.
No.
Which is what a lot of folks out there don't really quite know, that because recent times, if you follow Rocky on social media, if you follow Stallone on social media, you'll see that he's been quite the chatty person about how Creed 3, which just finished filming here in Georgia, and they're making another spinoff with Ivan Drago with Dolph Lundgren and the character of his son. And Stallone is being very outspoken about this, saying that they're killing the franchise, they're making him look like a fool. And the producers are replying, "You got paid, and this was never your product to begin with," which sucks because it is his, but it isn't his, if that makes sense.
Dolph and Stallone squashed their stuff, though. They called each other and had a nice talk.
That's good.
Because Stallone was like, "Hey, man, I wish you hadn't done this behind my back." And then Lundgren's like, "It was the most, there's no script." He's like, "Someone just approached me about it." And then they kind of... But I was like, no way. Is there going to be a fight between Dolph and...
A real one? Because he's going to get killed.
Yeah. Is there a Lundgren-Stallone beef? Like, I don't want that to happen. These guys are great.
Did you see that in the earlier drafts of the screenplay that there was Clubber Lang was actually supposed to be one of the announcers?
Oh,
he was supposed to be in. I was like, but the way that Stallone originally wrote it out was that he still had that aggression towards Rocky. So I don't know if it'd be like, man, you got to break that fool down. You know, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have worked.
I think it helps by bringing in the actual announcers. Like, they brought in some big names to call these fights, and so having that, the camera work, it felt like a ESPN almost filmed fight, or maybe a pay-per-view fight. It looked professional.
It looked like they actually did shoot it. They probably cut a deal with them.
Yeah,
because you could see some of the camera crew guys there, and they were in HBO shirts, and I think they probably did shoot some, and then they were like, okay, we'll buy your footage and see what it looks like, kind of toy with it. I mean, Stallone is very well known for doing that. I mean, it's a, you know, one of the biggest things was that the original cut of First Blood was terrible, and Stallone had to lay out almost all of his money to buy it back in order to recut it to make it what it is now.
Wow.
That's a great story if you ever get a chance to look that up.
For First Blood?
First Blood.
It was terrible, and he had to recut it?
He bought everything that they had shot. Like, because he was so ashamed of the way it looked. And he said, I've listened to an interview with his brother, Frank Stallone, which, if you didn't know, Frank Stallone is an amazing singer. He did a country album. It was really good. But he talked about how, you know, in the 80s, whenever they first shot First Blood, they said they did the screener for them, for the Stallones, and they were shocked at how bad it was. And he said that they were so shocked at how it looked that Sylvester Stallone had to lay down an ungodly amount of money to buy the footage back. Wow. And then he recut the whole movie himself. And that's the reason why we have what we have today.
That's a good movie. I don't think people realize how good First Blood is.
There's a lot going on in that. Yeah. I think people just kind of watch it for the violence, but there's so many layers going on in that movie that I think today's audiences probably can't comprehend it because we don't have anything to relate that to. But it is an amazing movie.
I think Rocky 3 and like Rocky 2 and 3 sort of make you forget about Rocky 1 because the bombastic aspects of those sequels make you forget that the first one was quite a small story about, you know, like PTSD and soul, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is about the PTSD and then the soldiers that had come back from Vietnam and how horribly they were treated in America. And it's a prime example is, you know, Rambo is walking down the road and the cop, who's Teasel, doesn't want Rambo in his town based on the way he looks. And it's because he thinks he's a dirty hippie. And he's like, look, like he doesn't want to say anything to him because he's like, why should I? And even in the book, I read the book before, and he's the way that he's painted in the book is a lot different than when he looks in the movie. He basically looks like a homeless guy. And he's just like, why do I care what this guy thinks of me? Like I could literally kill him with my bare hands, and I could take his car and bury it, and no one would find me again. And that's the reason why he's the way he is. But you don't see that in the movie because how do you convey that emotion? That's why he doesn't talk. But it is like it's all about the treatment. So like the police officers didn't even like him. Mm-hmm. So it's like he comes back to this world that he fought for, and his friends were all killed for. And no one likes him. He's like, why am I here? Like, why did I even bother fighting for you? Because you don't even respect me.
Man, Stallone can find depth. I think people forget that. I think Copland's
so good too.
I think people forget sometimes because he, you know, the Specialist era, like he went way too big. Like he got Judge Dredd. I think his ego got maybe too big.
Yeah.
And I don't know him, but you watch those movies and you just think to yourself, what is happening here?
I mean, I think whenever he got involved with the Cannon Company, his ego just blew off the planet. Yeah. And he was making movies for $6 million and taking $4 million for his pay cut. I mean, it was like, at that point, it's like, okay, I kind of see where you're going at. I mean, who else would make a movie about arm wrestling and child custody? It's like it's the most ridiculous thing. But it's like, yes, he could do that. And it's like, when you're riding that train for, let's just say like 5 to 6 years, you could literally do whatever you wanted and it would be a massive hit. Kind of like The Rock is now. But The Rock is a very humble man because he can look at people that happened in the past that were not humbled and see what happened. So they see that you could literally make a video of you doing anything and it's going to sell 1 million. And that's how Stallone was for so long. And then, of course, you see that in the early 90s, like you said, with The Specialist. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, and Judge Dredd and Assassins.
Assassins was mediocre.
Yeah.
It was a fun, mediocre movie. But I think Antonio Banderas saved that movie.
I just think that the reason he's had a very long career, very successful career, is because of the Rockies, is because of the First Bloods, is because of the Rocky Balboas, the Coplands, the Creeds. I think that is what separates him from a lot of action stars or actors in general, is that he has a weird fifth gear to go to, that sixth gear that he can go to sometimes when he needs to. And then everyone goes, man, that's really good. And then I think they're like, okay, Stallone's like, he's such a up and down career, but he has just a really introspective and at times really, I don't know, well-read, intelligent take on films. But then he'll do The Specialist or Bullet to the Head. So like, what's happening with like Escape Plan 3? You're like, what is this? But then you're in Creed, and you're just.
And then you go to Samaritan, which I'm not knocking Samaritan because it hasn't been released, but it is interesting how he goes from one dynamic to the other. And
he bounces around, but he keeps finding ways to stay relevant. But as like a director, like the humbleness of Rocky Balboa is beautiful. So, any final thoughts about what other notes do you have about this final fight?
Drago was actually supposed to be in this. I don't know if you knew that, but he wasn't going to be in the fight part of it. He was going to be a character who has AIDS and dies. And according to the original script, he was supposed to. A nurse was supposed to come up to him and say, "Yeah, are you an old friend of his?" And he says, "If he dies, he dies." So much like with Rambo: First Blood Part 2, whenever Ko dies, and the camera was supposed to pull out. And you hear Stallone go, "No!" And then the birds fly away. It was laughed at.
Wow.
The producers said, "You cannot put that in there. That is horrible." He said, "Okay, fine." So he changed it.
Wow. I mean, I'm glad we talked about this. And we're on the Creed next, which is really cool.
Creed is great.
Yeah.
I loved Creed.
1 and 2. Oh,
man. The thing about Creed is that those movies had, it was like 10 years later. Mm-hmm. And, Rocky for us was always there, but you've got a whole nother generation of people watching these movies now. I remember a friend of mine, he watched Creed and he said, "I didn't even know that Rocky was a movie." Granted, he's a lot younger, but I was like, that's insane. But I was glad that he watched Creed and that sparked his interest to watch Rocky. And he was like, "I can't believe I've never seen these movies. They're amazing." I'm like, they only get better.
Remember when we heard the idea of Creed? When I heard that he was going to be training Apollo's son,
I've lost it.
I just went, that's really smart.
Yes.
That's really smart. And then when I heard it was Michael B. Jordan.
Yes. I was like, Fruitvale Station? Are you kidding me?
I was like, wait, so Sylvester Stallone is going to be training Apollo Creed's kid and it's Michael B. Jordan? I'm like, if I was the executive who came up with that idea, I'd retire. Like, because that's such a great idea.
That's all I needed for my check. I'll see you guys later.
Well, hey, thank you for continuing to explore this franchise with me through the final fights, man. This was a good ep.
Yeah. I just want to add real quick, if you do want to see this movie, check it out at Videodrome here in Atlanta, right across the street from Manuel's Tavern in Little 5 Points. They have it, and $5 you can get it for the week.
Where can people find you, Chris Kelly? Look behind you!
It's just a wall.
Look in the wall. That's how.
Well, you can check out my podcast that I will be releasing new episodes here soon. It's Classic American Movies. I introduced my wife to movies that I deem to be classics. In fact, a couple of them are Sylvester Stallone films. We did cover Cobra. Cobra was the first one we did, where my wife had a great line that a few people have said, where she said, "Who's the cat and who's the mouse?" That's true, because the good guy kills more people than the bad guys do. And Over the Top. Well, I'm a big time Sylvester Stallone fan.
Awesome, man. So Classic American Movies, you can find CLK264 on Instagram.
You can just look up my name, Chris Kelly, CHRIS, Kelly spelled
with a Y.
With a Y.
Not an IE. Or 3 L's.
That's correct. Spelled the Catholic way.
Or you can just look behind you. He will be right there. But yeah, hey, this is awesome, man. I look forward to Creed.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Chris Kelly, this is Movie Films and Flicks. We'll see you next week.